Behind all the drama lies a character shaped by pain, desire, ambition. Beauty in Black is a web of hidden motives and carefully crafted personas, which I think each of the characters are actually very similar. We'll explore the backstories, their relationships, and the choices that reveal who these people truly are. Just grab a seat and something to drink because it's time to dive deep into the psychology and the power plays that make each character in Beauty in Black unforgettable. My name's Wildflower, and welcome back to Wild Recaps. So, who do y'all want to talk about first? Horace, Mallory, Anne Roy, Roy and Kimmy, Kimmy and Rain. I don't know how long this is about to be, but I'm going to talk about everybody, damn it. Let's talk about Mallory. Now, let's not forget that Mallory told us her story. I think on the very first episode of the series. Mallory was basically abandoned by her biological family and taken in by the Bellorys. They raised her, and when her and Roy got older, they dated in college and eventually got married. Now, immediately to me sounds like it may have been an arranged marriage, but I'm not mad if Mallory wasn't in the beginning. Another thing I realized immediately is that Mallory dealt with rejection from a very young age. Sure, she has money, a family through the Bellorys, good looks, but imagine having to accept that your mom just didn't like you, doesn't want you. Yeah, you lived a life of riches, but that was only because her parents made her feel like she wasn't good enough to keep. I think that's why Mallory goes so hard to be on top at her job. I think she wanted to bring value to herself in other ways because she was taught to believe that just being her wasn't valuable enough. But throughout the years, Mallory has built her confidence, and so much so that her husband just cannot match up. Speaking of the rich bum, see, Roy is just as weak as Mallory thinks he is. He doesn't work hard and he still needs hard drugs to get through the days. Even with them going through a lawsuit, Roy doesn't have the fire to just not do drugs in other women. As I mentioned in the Beauty in Black review, Roy can't find dominance or respect with his wife, so he finds it with women he finds more submissive and who are provided through jewels. Roy probably doesn't even have the social skills enough to pull women the way that he wants. Look at the way he handled the lawyer, Lena, who apparently knew him in college. Y'all know, the one who is suing Beauty in Black, the hair company, the one who served Olivia in the hospital hallway and got smacked. She smacked back, but yeah, she got smacked. When Roy realized that she knew him, he went right to being pompous instead of being likable. Can't read the room and humble himself. He's so emotionally immature and manipulative. You cheating on your wife, but you mad that you find out that she's doing the same, or excuse me, you thought that she was ham-boning Barney, not realizing that Calvin already hit that. Anyway, another thing that shows Roy's struggle with dominance is his moment with Varney. After Roy found out about Varney and Charles, he made Varney admit that he's Roy's bitch. And Roy still told his business. But the fact that he even needed all that from Varney, this is a man who feels low about himself and who is searching for a reason to feel powerful at all times. Roy thinks being an asshole is the only way to assert dominance because that's what he learned from his parents who speak harshly to him and his brother. Although some of it may be true. I actually think Roy and Mallory share that. I'm sure being given up as a child also made her feel powerless. So she talks to the help crazy because it helps make her feel on top. Another thing about Roy that probably makes him feel bad about himself is his erectile dysfunction that Mallory teases him about and that he keeps using as an excuse for when not being able to keep his direction with Kimmy. Now, let's get into the root of this problem here. Horace and Olivia. Horace is the OG of the family and he's probably the coldest. As you probably know, after everything they've been through together, he is trying to take the family shares away because he hates all of them that much. I think Horace hates his family because he hates himself. He's into men and he hates that fact. We know he does because he hides it and he ridicules his own son Charles for being gay. He should be able to connect with his son on that, but instead he is so much more worried about hiding it that he would rather deflect by insulting Charles. Whole time he's in love with a dude who hasn't even broken him off a piece yet. Or has he? What do y'all think about that? Do y'all think Angel actually hooked up with Horace at some point? There was a moment in the last part they just released where Sylvie said that Kimmy told her that Angel did hook up with Horace. So again, what y'all think? And did y'all know this is Mr. Horace in real life? Okay, salt and pepper Zad. On to Miss Olivia, who is a beautiful older lady and a very entertaining character in this series. She's a strong-willed, egotistical lady who knows how to fake it, much like Mallory. See, I love the way they made these characters because if that's what Roy was used to growing up, that could have some reason as to why that's what he's attracted to in Mallory. Not even that he likes that trait in her, but it's a familiar feeling, you know? Mallory's vibe reminds him of the only other woman who for sure loves him, no matter how much trash she talks, which is his mother, Olivia. Another thing about Olivia is that she's a fast one now. On this show, she's got younger boyfriends who she treats like trash, and she once had an affair with her husband's brother, Norman. Now, I will say that although Mallory and Olivia seem to be a lot alike, Mallory ain't as fast as Olivia. I mean, yes, she humped Calvin, but Olivia seems to be no stranger to throwing herself on men based off of what Norman said, which was if she tries to get with you and you deny her, then you're pretty much on her shit list. I wonder what her backstory is, Olivia. Like, what would it be? If you guys are enjoying this character analysis so far, don't be afraid to show affection and hit that like button. If there is a hype button on any of my videos, do I have to ask? I will. Please press it. Now, to one of my favorite characters, Charles. Just because he's funny and stylish. We even get to see a new side of Charles this season when he has to defend himself against robbers. I wouldn't be surprised if Charles was actually more tough than Roy. But Charles, like his brother, is a rich boy who sniffs up all the money and has no clue what's going on in the family business or with his own bank account. Charles seems like someone who's happy with who he is, but I can tell he's not by his interactions with Barney. He's done everything in his power to try and push Barney away because I think deep down Charles feels like he isn't good enough for Barney. Barney is mature and Charles is not. And as for Barney, like I said, he's nice, smart, mature, professional guy. We were all so shocked to find out that he was with Charles. I hate the way that Barney keeps going back to Charles too. He was showing us with that how he is submissive. Another thing with Barney and Charles is that Charles is out and about and Barney is more private about his sexuality. Charles is a partier and Barney is a chill guy. I really don't see what Barney sees in Charles. The sex must be good. I mean, Charles is pretty confident about it. That moment when Barney walked out of Charles's room and he looked stunned, I thought he saw someone there to harm them. But when we saw it was Roy, I understood Barney's look. And as I mentioned before, the whole Barney admitting he's Roy's bitch thing. One of the most shameful scenes of my boy Barney, and I hope it doesn't get any worse than that. All Barney has to do is admit who he is, since Roy found out anyway, and he just doesn't want to do it so much that he, again, submits. He submits to Charles and Roy. That's insane. Now, one Mallory that I haven't talked about before we get into the other side of the cast is Norman. Norman is a chemist and I think who Horace blames most for the lawsuit. Norman and Horace have a horrible relationship as brothers. We also find out that Norman was jealous of Horace growing up because he felt that their father favored Horace. I believe Norman is jealous of Horace, which is why he smashed his wife, Olivia. Norman doesn't have any kids and Horace has 2 sons, so I wonder if that's also a part of the jealousy. You know? Now, if you have made it this far without a like, you know you're wrong. You are enjoying this. The lawyer who is suing the Mallory family, her name is Lena, and as I mentioned before, she knew Roy and Mallory back in school. Roy had a hard time remembering who she was, but she had no problem remembering that Roy was a player. I don't know if they were together or if Roy was just popular, but Lena bringing that up gave that she's butthurt vibe. Maybe that's why she's so passionate about taking them down. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, if the product is causing cancer, Lena does have a good cause, of course, but I don't know. She just gives the vibes that she would F Roy if given the chance. Lena, girl, watch it. That D is dirty. Angel is someone with a dark past. I know it. He just seems to be linked to a few backhanded things. Getting Rain and Kimmy in the mess with Jules, arranging a back door on Horace, stealing his watch. Angel's kind of a YN. He also has a baby mama who he does not get along with. She is so annoying. Her character is just here to create a moment of chaos and frustration because her ass don't listen to shit. Anyway, Angel is a father and a slave to the game of dodging ding-dongs if not for the right price. I also think that Angel genuinely likes hanging out with Kimmy and Rain better than his BM. Let's talk about Rain next because she gets on my nerve. Rain has the mindset Jules needs his prisoners to have. She believes she ain't gonna be nothing but a hoe.
I love that you stay so hopeful. I really do. But at some point, you gotta face the fact that we hoes.
I've showed that clip in both videos I made on Beauty in Black because I was so taken aback by it when I first saw it. Now, we don't know Rain's background, but I bet she comes from struggle just like Kimmy. Like I said, the two have a trauma bond friendship. They met each other while they were both going through a hard time, got into some mess together, and been getting in mess together ever since. I'm afraid if they ever bring any of Rain's old friends around, I wonder what they would be like. You know, her friends before she met Kimmy. But again, I mostly don't like Rain for her mindset. She's got some vendetta against Body and Daga, like they forced her to get a BBL. Kimmy tried to warn Rain for those same reasons, but her fast tail and now botched tail didn't want to listen. Now you're out for blood. Girl, sit down somewhere and go heal. I also didn't like how when Sylvie was losing her V card, or not necessarily losing her V card, but you know, having sex, Rain came in and ended the boy like she just couldn't read the room. Sylvie screamed no a few times before Rain pushed him out the dang on window, but she kept going. When we heard them hooking up in the barn, Sylvie did not sound like she was in pain or in a struggle. It was a situation that was grossly misread by Rain and came off so stupid to me. Very unrealistic, and that's what's so frustrating about it. Like, not you causing even more problems for you and Kimmy. I just think that it was so idiotic of her, but let me know if y'all agree or not. Now, I don't have much to say about Sylvie. She was Kimmy's prized possession from the jump. She came into the picture having to be saved. Sylvie is a fairly new character as far as being active in the storyline, and we just haven't seen enough of her yet. We do know that she is a little fast. I mean, she met the guy that Rain caught her with like within days before. I'm not sure how much time passed from when they first arrived to the house to Sylvie and Jules' son humping on haystacks, but it wasn't that dang on long. Yeah, the guy that Rain ended, that Sylvie was hooking up with, was Jules's freaking son. Jules is a very unlikable character for me, not just because he's a pimp, but he's living a double life. Terrorizes people's lives and traffics women, and he has a daughter, a son, and a wife and a nice home in the suburbs. They know nothing of his dirty antics. They just think that he works as a cop a lot. But I think Jules's motives for all that is money. He hasn't been seen sleeping with any of the women he owns. He seems to be the man of the house at home, so unlike Roy, I don't feel like he's searching for power. He has a little because he's with the police force. I just think he gets paid well from doing the dirt, and little does his family know that's how they can afford that quiet life away. Kimmy, our main character, well, we know why she's the way she is. Well, not actually saying anything about the way she is. She's a good person, but her situation doesn't match what's inside. I really feel like Kimmy was dealt a hard hand of cards to play with in the game of life. Her mother betrayed her by allowing her man to assault her, and that's really enough to mess you up. Again, from previous episodes, this is why Kimmy ran away. We have very few scenes where we get to see Kimmy smile. She is so uptight and always seemingly expecting the next misfortune, and can you blame her? However, it's her nonchalant attitude that made her seem trustworthy to Horace. Initially, she seemed to be so over everyone and everything while dealing with Horace. Maybe that made him feel like she wouldn't even care enough to double cross him. Again, just because she seemed very uninspired, and that's kind of her attitude in general, except on the first episode. This first episode, when she went to Mallory's seminar event thing, we see the hope in Kimmy for a better life, and we see other people getting in the way of that. Until this new season, of course. As you may know, Kimmy has come into some wealth and responsibility, being Horace's new wife and all. We see her in the very opposite position that we met her in with Roy and Jules. We see the way that she was quiet and tried to be obedient, but she takes the role of HBIC very well in this new season. Kimmy is doing a better job than I thought. She's showing prior knowledge she gained from other jobs, and it's helping her call the shots at the Beauty and Black office. Now, as much as Kimmy is nonchalant, Rain and Angel always hinted to a side of her that's more balls to the wall. We see that when she straight up runs over Body and pows the other woman who was at the door. I'm so excited to see more interactions between Mallory and Kimmy and their oncoming power struggle. Beauty and Black is so filled with drama. How can you not be entertained? I saw some talk on TikTok about some people not liking the dialogue. I like the dialogue in this Tyler Perry series better than She the People. I damn near hate the script on the first episode. I couldn't even get past it. If you want more details on that, please show that video some love. But again, I like how rough the family talks to each other. It paints how they feel about one another and how they treat each other, and it's freaking funny. The only thing I really did not like about the dialogue this time around was towards the end, Angel kept referring to the bellhop guy in the house, the housemaid, what did they call them? The butler. Yes, he kept calling the butler the N word like every 3 words, and it was pretty awkward. Like, it really stood out in a negative way. So that would be like my only beef with the script. Everything else, I have really nothing to say. I think it would be cool if we had a series about how the characters were before this point in the story. Maybe Mallory and Roy before marriage, or we could go back to their childhood when Olivia and Horace were younger. Was Horace having secret rendezvous with men even back then? Was Olivia a bigger I already think she is? Was Norman taking his wife Ina for granted, as I expect? I think after this story, a new storyline about that, or maybe even Rain or Angel's story, would be good. We've already got enough of Kimmy's life. We know what happened to her growing up. We've seen her development. If they do a spinoff, it should be one of the ones I mentioned, in my opinion. I don't think they're going to do one, though. A couple things I wanted to mention before we go, just to round things off. The brotherly relationship with Charles and Roy isn't very brotherly, and I really don't understand why not. Other than Roy maybe hating on Charles for being gay, doesn't seem like there's much of a sibling rivalry going on between these two. So I don't know what's up with that. Maybe they're just assholes. The assistants, Calvin and Jillian. I mean, Calvin and Mallory had an affair. Calvin's gone now, as well as Jillian, who smashed Roy. I don't see much to their characters outside of cheating with the married couple and Jillian and Calvin being verbally abused by Mallory. But other than all that, thank you so much for sticking with me this video. I thought it was a fun chat. Check out my newest Beauty in Black video. I think it's better than the first video, even though it is shorter. I think it tells you all you need to know in order to hop in and enjoy this new season. But until next time, thanks for watching again, and I will see you next recap.